What's up, guys? Good morning. Good morning to everybody. This is Gina Ifowe, the one and only African superstar, back at it again. What's up, family? I hope you guys are good. I have not been live in a couple of days, but I see you guys been enjoying the vlogs and so on and so forth. Big shout out to the African Superstar family. Much love to the customers of the AfricanSuperstar.com. I did notice that there's been a particular uptick in sales over the past, basically since Valentine's Day, which is excellent. I know I probably need to do a better job of promoting my website, but I've been very preoccupied with the music, and I'm a one-man show. Yes. So I promote the music, I promote the website, I do the YouTube, I do the editing, I do everything. You know what I mean? So I do just want to say a special thanks to all the customers of the African Superstar, those of you choosing to spend your dollars, pounds, euros, whatever with me. If you have not yet been to my website, please head over there. I ship worldwide. So if, I don't have any physical stores currently. Everything is custom made when you order it on the website, and then it'll be shipped to your destination. We even ship here in Ghana. I've received several parcels here from the AfricanSuperstar.com and so on and so forth. Big shout outs also to our members only who support our platform on a monthly basis. They are designated by the circle next to their name. Much love to our members only. And last but not least, much love to the lovers of the African Superstar Music Project. So in regards to that, I do have an upcoming show here in Accra. I will be performing at the Galaxy Bar and Grill on March 6th, which is Ghanaian Independence Day. Yes. And I'm also proud to say that the venue that I am performing at, it is a new venue that is owned by diasporans from St. Louis, Missouri. So definitely come out to my show. There's no cover charge, but I just ask that you come to the show and purchase drinks and purchase food and show love to our diaspora. I'm actually the first performance that they're having at this venue, so I'm very excited. I've been promoting it heavily on my social media. So again, that is on 6th of March. That's Monday, the upcoming next Monday. I'll be performing live. It's a holiday here in Ghana because it's Ghana Independence Day, so don't miss it. In other news, make sure you cop the EP, bandcamp.com. It's all over everywhere. Make sure you get the EP. Add me to your streams, Spotify, etc., etc. What's up, family? Black Beauty always is the first in the chat room. When you come in the building, you know the protocols. I know it may be early for those of you in America. It's a little after 11 a.m. here, and I want to talk about this topic, which is in Africa, you will see how white Black Americans are. Big shout outs to the family. So I want to talk about this topic because there's something really interesting about perception. When you grow up in America, for instance, or you grow up in the UK, you may identify yourself as an American, but there are different levels to being American. Black Americans understand and recognize that they are not treated like white Americans. They don't get the same regard as even some foreign groups and things like that. And unfortunately, Black Americans are at the bottom of the totem pole in America. Almost every other group is prioritized over us. The irony is when, therefore, those people get into the international community, you kind of morph from a Black American into an American. And I see that playing out here on the continent because some of the institutionalized behavior that Black Americans have grown up and been subjected to, they come to the continent and they then display that. One of the things that I see and I've talked about on a few recent videos is the segregation. You will see that some diasporans, they really have no interest in matriculating in Ghana and creating networks, making friends here, learning about the culture, trying food, music, language. They are not interested in that. They just kind of want to be here in their bubble, and they also feel superior, and this is not uncommon for people that have been abused or neglected or experienced poverty. A lot of people that come up with those, that are experiencing those dynamics when they have an opportunity to then reiterate it on someone else, they're eager to do that because they themselves have had that happen to them. And so now they're in a position of power and this and that and the other. You will see, you know, you will see your tastes. You will see your perspectives. You will see your outlook, you know, maybe your parenting, your communication skills, these kind of things. You're going to see a lot of the Americanness in there. And to that, it's not a black or white thing. It is an American thing. And I can really see it as like, you know, someone who's now been living outside of the US for a while. In many cases, you can see Americans coming, you know, if you can't hear them. I will never forget, I went to Egypt in 2019. I took myself on a Valentine's Day trip to Egypt. It was totally epic. It's probably like the only Valentine's Day I remember to date because I literally took a hot air balloon over the Valley of the Kings on Valentine's Day 2019. It was so epic. So I remember before I was going to Egypt, I was literally trying to do my standard travel preparation. You know, I was trying to see like, what was the dress code like? You know, what were some of the social norms? That whole thing. So that, because one of my biggest tests whenever I travel is to try to blend in. You know, I try to give myself that edge because I absolutely hate going places and people flocking to me like I'm a foreigner, or you go to the market, everybody's trying to sell stuff to you and all that kind of stuff. So I hate it. So my goals are always to try to, you know, assimilate as much as I can, or at least give the appearance as I'm not, you know, immediately recognized as a foreigner. So I personally decided to wear caftans. This actually is a caftan that I got for Egypt. Yes. I have a picture in this caftan in front of the pyramids. Yes. And I bought these beautiful caftans to wear in Egypt. And I also got some scarves to wear over my head. And, you know, I had like the concierge at my hotel tie it for me because I didn't know how to tie the scarf that way. And literally, as I walked the streets in my caftans and my scarves, I was a bit more colorful than I'd say the average Egyptian lady. A lot of them wear dark colors, and you know, it's predominantly a Muslim environment now, so a lot of them wear dark colors and stuff. But still, I was still, you know, I didn't immediately draw attention to myself. So one day I went to the pyramids, and I saw some Americans at the pyramids. And these were, you know, Black Americans. And one lady had on, you know, skin tight, hot pink leggings and lipstick to match, sunglasses, you know. And as soon as she got to the area, you know, all the vendors and everybody just kind of flocked to her and they want to give her pictures and they want to do tours and all this stuff. And I thought to myself, if that wasn't a moniker for the way that we stand out sometimes, I don't know what is. Because here I was kind of masquerading. And they would ask me, oh, are you Nubian? You know, the Nubians are the Black Egyptians. They are the former pharaohs and the former, you know, nobility of the land. And they now live in Aswan. That is where they live. So I was in Cairo. Cairo is where the pyramids are and all that stuff. So they would be asking me, the Egyptians would be asking, oh, are you Nubian? You know, are you Nubian? Wow, you look amazing. You're beautiful. Your dresses are so beautiful. You know, that was kind of their thing. And they would call me brown sugar, which I thought was kind of cute. But I think part of the discussion that we need to have and we need to acknowledge is that those of us growing up in the West, we are far removed. The vast majority of us are far removed from the reality here on the continent. And I think instead of us making that divide even bigger by ignorance, you know, and by kind of not being open-minded and not being receptive to our new environment, we first have to understand, you know what, I'm ignorant to Africa. You know what I mean? Come to grips with that, knowing that that was not your fault per se. That has been a deliberate consensus to not educate you about the continent, So even though, yeah, you might have your master's or you might have your PhD or you might be a high earner, a professional, for some people that are, successful in life, it's very difficult for them to admit that they are ignorant because they want to, carry out this whole image of I'm so this and I'm so that and I'm accomplished and I have accolades. But in reality, education anyway is subjective. Education has to do with what you are provided to learn. So if certain things are restricted or completely omitted from you, I don't care if you have a Nobel Peace Prize, you will be ignorant about that. You know what I mean? There are scholars right now. I bet if you brought what's that guy's name? Einstein back. If you brought him back from the dead and you asked him, hey, Einstein, do you know how to work the database for Facebook? Just go pluck him out the grave, bring him modern day. He would tell you, I don't know anything about what you're saying. He's considered one of the most brilliant minds of all time. So the fact is, coming to grips with, this is a different echelon. Okay. I'm ignorant to life here. But the fact that you're ignorant to life here doesn't mean that you have to remain ignorant to life here. I think I'm a great example of when you begin to kind of invest yourself and you begin to acclimate yourself consciously, you can actually become extremely knowledgeable in a short amount of time if you put that effort in. Because to me, unfortunately, a lot of the diaspora really, really, really sticks out when they come here. And I don't know if they are aware of it, and I think it's also redundant to just talk about, we're different and we're different. I mean, duh. The upbringing is different. The culture is different. The exposure is different. You know what I mean? And if you're not a traveler and you're coming to Africa for the first time, it's a culture shock. Duh. It's stupid. It's like beating a dead horse. Oh, I feel like, I don't know anything about Africa. I don't know anybody. And duh. You've literally spent decades of your life in a different location. You have no formative information, education, or anything about the continent. And unless you have friends and family and associate, yes. If you picked up a plane and landed in Ghana and you didn't have any connections or ties or friends or associates, you wouldn't know anybody. I mean, it's no different than going to Japan. You would experience the same phenomenon in anywhere outside of America unless you had, empowered yourself. And that's the position we need to take. We need to get beyond the semantics and get beyond the immature conversation and start focusing on, okay, how can we bridge this gap? Those of us coming as the diaspora, we will never fully matriculate here. The reality, we will not in our lifetime, probably. There are always going to be differences. Like I said, we spent decades of our life in other locations. We have different tastes. Like let's say, for instance, you're a world traveler. Okay. You're a world traveler and you come to Ghana. Most of my age mates that I've met here are not also world travelers. Some of them have never even left Ghana or even explored Ghana. Okay. However, some of my age mates are entrepreneurs. Some of my age mates have built their own houses. Some of my age mates are, know how to plant food. They know how to fix things. They have skills. They have a lot of maybe practical knowledge that I don't have, although I'm a world traveler. You see, so it's all relative. We have cultivated some taste because of the place where we grew. Environment and influences and exposure, it's so paramount as to the person who you may become. So that means when you decide that you need to be something else, you're going to have to put in the effort to become that something else. I tell the story sometimes about how big shout-outs. Is anybody else here besides Black Beauty Always? Hello, guys. I know it's early though. Can I get a good morning? What's up, fam? We like y'all know the I've been talking for a minute. I've been talking for 15 good minutes. You had some time to. Good morning, Gina. Hi, African Superstar. What's up, family? sometimes I tell this story about Dynasty Amir, you know, how when I was originally trying to extend my knowledge on Africa, I wanted to know what a diasporian experience on the continent was, because at the time that I was doing a lot of like looking online and trying to find articles and reading expatriate blogs and all this stuff, it was all from white people. And I was like, I don't want to hear, you know, about safaris in South Africa and going to see the Himba and, you know, all the stuff they do. I was like, I don't really care about their perspective. I want to know what it's like from another Black person's view. And I remember I came across the two YouTubers at the time. You know, this was back in like 2015. You know, the YouTubers at the time that were talking about the continent, which was Dynasty Amir, Search for Huru, and then African America in Africa. And she is a New Yorker that relocated to Namibia. Thank you so much. What's up, Shoshana? Good morning. I don't know. It might be early where you are too. Thanks, guys. Okay, the family's waking up. Okay, I'm sorry. I just gotta say, y'all, come on. Y'all know we're a family. So we interact. So, you know, I was seeing more specifically Dynasty was touring the continent. He was going to Kenya. He went to Tanzania. He went to South Africa. He was going to Senegal on a regular basis. He went to Gambia. He went to Nigeria. He would be in Togo, Benin, Ghana. And he was doing all this stuff. And I was just like, oh my God. And I felt so ignorant, you know? And I knew that I had a romanticization of the continent because I didn't actually have any tangible information at that time, you know? And I actually remember on the flight to South Africa, which was my very first stop on the continent, I remember thinking to myself, like, I'm actually going to have my own account now. You know, nobody can tell me about the continent now because I have been here, you know. And I remember flying into Johannesburg and seeing how massive the city was. Johannesburg is a massive, huge city in South Africa. And I got to the state-of-the-art, you know, OR Tambo Airport, and I was just like, this is unbelievable. Unbelievable. You know, that I just had no idea that it was like that. And I started out slowly but surely becoming a connoisseur of the continent. You know, I wanted to see the different regions, how they vary and all that kind of stuff. So I toured some countries. And now, you know, years later, you know, like I said, I started my research in probably about 2015 because I took my first trip in 2016. You know, now I can speak from a position of expertise and experience, you know, because I've done it and I live it. So some people will see the title of this vlog and they'll get all bent out of shape. Probably the FD, what's it called? I was about to say FDOS. Is that her name? The FBA or the ADOS? I was about to say the FDOS. What is that? Wow. Foundational Descendants of Slaves. But probably the FBA and the ADOS, they always get so defensive whenever you talk about the continent, whenever you talk about Black Americans. But this is not really a point of contention. This is more or less a message of, look, we've been in that setting so long, okay? You can't sit in water and not get wet. We have ingested a lot of their ways. We have ingested a lot of their outlook. And at the same time, we were absorbing what we were exposed to and what they were teaching us, what they were imputing in us. We were also strategically being estranged from our root and our heritage. You know what I mean? So it's quite normal that you will be disconnected. You know, if you are somebody who is coming to the continent and you feel that, you know, you feel that disconnection, it's quite normal. You know, and that's why I would say that I always recommend, if you're moving to the continent, that you frequent the continent. Frequenting the continent before your move cuts down on that unfamiliarity. You know, shout outs to those of you guys that have been to the continent already. We got 15, so I can do a trivia question. Do you guys remember your first trip to the continent? Let me see a number one for those of my African travelers or those of you that have migrated. Do you guys remember your first trip? Huh? Were you a little scared? You know, were you like a little nervous? You know, probably the stereotypes that you had about the continent were in the back of your mind. Oh, am I going to be kidnapped? Are they going to treat me like a stranger? You know, I don't know anybody here. What kind of food am I going to eat? Do they have Uber? Do they have Google Maps? You having these thoughts in your mind, right? It's normal. Now, fast forward and think about moving day, or think about your third or fourth trip or your 10th trip, you know, or once you went to your first country, your next trip, you know, as you familiarize yourself, you were able to cut down on that anxiety. You were able to cut back on that fantasy and confusion and ignorance because you were getting more knowledgeable. If you think about how, for instance, a child learns, all right, they learn by repetition. A lot of you guys have children. Some of you now have grandchildren or great-grandchildren. You know, you got to keep telling them A, B, C, D, you know, 1, 2, 3. This is your name. This is your birthday. You have to keep telling them. I probably don't even think we can remember how many times our parents had to repeat. You know, did you clean your bed? Did you clean your bedroom? Did you do your homework, Gina? Huh? You know, Pledge of Allegiance every single day at school. Repetition. You know, we're adults now. So we should understand, okay, I got to kind of immerse myself into this and not also beat yourself up when you feel foreign. You know, if you sit there and you ask yourself, oh my gosh, how am I going to matriculate? How am I going to make friends? How am I going to, you know, learn the way? You know, because for most of us that are living here on the continent, I mean, it's totally an independent project. We don't have no blueprints apart from maybe our YouTube community or some resources that diasporans have created online, you know, to go off of. We literally are like trying to figure out our path. Maybe we have specific needs related to our children, or our businesses, or this and that, and we kind of have to wade through the water. There's nobody like an analyst that says, oh, okay, Shoshana, you need instructions on this. Gina, you need this, you need that. No, you got to figure it out. It can be overwhelming for some people, but that's why I'm saying it's normal. You know, that part is normal. But the call to action is, what are you going to do to reduce that discomfort rather? What are you going to do? You know, 5 years from now, you're living on the continent, you should be much more comfortable in your setting than you are when you first start. But if you just hole up and chill with the other diasporians and y'all just speaking English and y'all go to the burger shop and eat pizza, and, you know, you guys just fraternize among yourself, yeah, in 5 years, you can be just as disconnected as you are from day one if that's the decision that you make. And honestly, if you feel like a foreigner on the continent and you want to cut down on that, then there's strategic ways to eliminate feeling like a foreigner. You know, if you go out to night places or whatever, you know, I'm a total connoisseur of music. It's not unusual for me to listen to music in languages I don't understand and all of that. That's always been how it is. I listen to the rhythm, or, you know, the voice and the sound of it and the beat and all these things gives me a vibe. But for instance, here's a tip. All right. Music. It's a great orifice. It's a great unifier. Big shout outs, family. I'm going to come do shout outs. So leave me something in the chat room and I will greet you. Music is a fantastic unifier. If you find that you're going places and you're like, oh, I don't know this music, you know, Nigeria, you don't know the music. In Kenya, they speak Swahili, you know, Tanzania, South Africa, they got the South African house. In Egypt, they got, you know, their Arabic music. In the Francophone countries, they've got the French speaking music. You can start versing yourself in that. And when you start getting in taxi cabs, or you go to the local cafe, or you go to a night out, and you start hearing that, Makossa, shout outs to my Cameroonians, start hearing that Makossa music. That's one of the first things that I did ages ago when I started spending a lot of time with Ghanaians. I started listening to their music, and so when a hype song comes on, I don't have to be a wallflower because I also know it. It's also a great way for you to, if you're interested in learning the language, for you to begin to comprehend the language and get pronunciation, listening to the music, memorizing the music, singing with the music. You know what I mean? These are conscious things that you can do. Now, if you go out to a night spot, for instance, and they're playing high life, which is, kind of like, I'll liken it to like an R&B kind of category of Ghana music. And they have Ghana and Nigerian music, back in the days music. Now, if that music comes on and all the Ghanaians get hyped, they all run to the dance floor. Like people like Oforion Ponsa or Kofi B, Daddy Lumba. These are some of the high life artists from yesterday. That music gets the crowd hyped in Ghana. If you don't know the music, you're going to totally be a wallflower. You might get annoyed that, the set's been going on. You don't recognize any of the music. You don't know the lyrics. You don't know the language. And it's just like, this is a drag. Or now Daddy Lumba comes on and you're like, oh, okay. You know what I mean? That's a start. If you're uncomfortable with the language, for instance, you feel like people are always talking about you because, in some cases, foreigners do talk about you, but sometimes they're just like minding their own business. And you're not really like the center of their universe unless you're doing something stupid or bringing attention to you. But if you're just out at the shop and you hear people speaking their language, it's not about you, probably. But anyway, if that's something that disturbs you, then learning the language is a great way to cut down on that. You can both respond and you can comprehend, and so you can cut it down. Meanwhile, you're thinking this person's talking about you and talking about how fat you are. You're Black American. We don't want you here in Ghana. Meanwhile, they're like, wow, I really like her. I really like her dress. Her hair looks nice. Wow, she's really attractive. Big shout out to the African Superstar family. You will find out when you come to Africa how white you really are. You will see that you will experience cultural differences, and it will make you feel some kind of way because you'll be like, I don't also belong in America, and I was always told that I belong in Africa, and now I'm here in Africa and there's still confusion. So where do I belong? Well, understanding that your transition to the continent is something that was never, ever, ever planned or anticipated. Matter of fact, they've done everything to discourage diasporians from coming to the continent, from uniting with, continental Africans, African migrants. And in the West, it's brilliant. They've been able to successfully, create division in every facet among Black people in the West. However, when you come to the continent, just understanding and being real about where you are. I went from a person who longed to have an understanding about the continent to now a go-to person, or an SME, subject matter expert. When people think about Ghana, in some cases, probably definitely a lot of you guys, you think about the African superstar. If somebody says, oh, I'm going to Ghana tomorrow, you be like, hey, my favorite YouTuber, Gina, she's over there. She's a musician, blah, blah, blah. Go look her up. She's in the crowd. Somebody comes to you, I'm really thinking about going to the festival in Ghana. You be like, hey, go check out the African Superstars page. I've gone from someone who had no knowledge to someone who now people recognize as someone with resources related to Ghana. So big shout outs, family. Okay, I'm coming through to do the shout outs. Big shout outs to everybody here this morning. Make sure you like the stream. What's up, Shoshana? Diane, what's up, family? That's right. Shoshana says they want us to identify as American, but only with a qualifier. Most Black Americans growing up in America have always felt the disparity. You know, although they have the passport, although they were born and raised, you know, spent their entire life, went to school there, paid taxes, blah, blah, blah. As American as apple pie, as they say. They are always made to feel you are not indigenous to this land and you do not equate to white Americans. Same dynamic happens in England. Same dynamic happens in Germany, all across the Western world. Same thing happens in Australia. Same thing happens even in Asia. You know, they want, you know, they only want to claim you if you are doing things for them, basically. You know, if you're an athlete and you're bringing home the gold medal, they're happy to call you British then. But everything else, you're Black, you're, you know, origins. I see it all the time in the UK. Jamaican, you know, British, Jamaican, Nigerian, American, Ghanaian, you know, they always want to clarify that this person is not indigenous to, or they are here by way of immigration or whatever. You know what I mean? So that's a really good point. Big shout outs, family. Diane said, wow. Diane she rolled the dice. She rolled the dice, guys, because she moved. Oh, shoot, I'm going to put my charger in. She moved on her first trip, is what she's saying to us. And yeah. So I think she can probably relate to this message, you know, and starting to experience the culture shock. And people that do that, I mean, I do think in many cases they will experience it. There will be moments when they are alienated. There will be moments when they feel very unfamiliar, or, you know, sometimes if you are making inside jokes or you make like a reference to like a TV show, or you play one of your favorite songs and they don't even know who Boyz II Men is. They don't even know who Whitney Houston is. They don't even know, you know, these kind of things. And you just realize like, wow, there are really some serious cultural differences here. But I really believe that it has to do with your perspective on how it's going to be. You know, if you understand that you were raised differently and socialized differently than the place that you're now living, I think that will greatly help you. Because then it should never hit you like a ton of bricks that they're not familiar with your way of life. And you're not also familiar with their way of life. Duh. And if you feel some type of guilt because you're just like, oh my God, I'm here in Africa and I don't know anything. I don't know anything at all. I'm like a baby, you know, then you just need to check yourself. And I think that, again, taking a perspective of, I might not know now, you know, but this time next year, I'll know more. And this time in 5 years, I'll know more. You know, like literally I had a conversation last night with a Nigerian, okay? And this Nigerian was convinced that I was a Ghanaian. Like, he had no idea that I was not. When I told him, you know, when we got into a conversation about like our origins and all that stuff, he was telling me where he was from in Nigeria and all that. And he was completely shocked that I was not a Ghanaian. And I thought, okay, I'm sure that, you know, at a point several years ago, maybe the line of demarcation will be much more clear, you know, where it would be hard to believe that I was Ghanaian, you know, because he's like, oh, I saw your picture. You wear kente, you eat the food, you speak Tree. I'm like, yeah, but, you know, you can teach yourself. And if you take a page out of their book, because see, let's be real. We learned a lot of bad stuff from white people, huh? Second trivia. If you agree with that, let me see a number 2. We learned a lot of bad stuff from them. Okay, we got a lot of bad habits from them folks. But if you take a page out of their book on the other spectrum, look at how they were able to integrate, colonize, and become knowledgeable on many different nations. Okay, they would basically either intermarry, or they would befriend a chief or some kind of royal person or something, because they knew, hey, I'm disconnected. I need somebody to plug me in. Yet diasporians will come here and not do those very things. You know, white people are notorious for having many faces, and they know how to play their part. So when they want to impress, you know, I've seen it a lot of times. I know a lot of black ladies, y'all probably seen it too. When white women will date these foreign men, they'll be open to learning how to cook their food. They'll be wearing their traditional clothes. They'll be listening to their music. They'll travel to their country. They'll even do like a traditional wedding. They'll do all of that to get the favor of their foreign husband. You know, it's kind of like a guidebook of how to do it. So when you come here, if you want to get the competitive advantage, you know you're a foreigner and you know that you don't know a lot of stuff, then you're going to have to put effort into getting into it. And I can tell you, listen, I don't have all that drama that a lot of these diasporians have because I have exercised this methodology. And you can see that the Ghanaian community also embraces the African superstar, which to me is profound. You know, for me to be living here and to have Ghanaians also love and welcome me and regard me as one of their own is a testament that I'm doing this thing right. You know what I mean? They open doors for me all the time, you know, give me audience with certain people, help me with various things, you know, uplift and everything. I couldn't do what I'm doing here in Ghana without the support and help of all of my Ghanaian friends and family. You know, so big shout out to the African Superstar. Woo! You have me talking. Oh, this is really nice. Wow, that's so nice. Shoshana says she's having a drum class for her son's birthday. Wow, that's really nice. Well done, Shoshana. Show them how to do it. The kids will play drums. Good morning, ATM Tim. The arrival is here with me. Big shout out to you. Thanks so much for stopping by. These nice husband and wife team in the Gambia. So you can check out the Arrival's YouTube channel if you're not familiar with them. She says, yes, it's a journey and we are different and it takes time for the comfort to come. Absolutely. But again, it's normal. You know, it's normal when you first get there to feel like a fish out of water. I definitely know the Arrival has spent some time now in Gambia. I don't know. It's probably been a couple years now. And I'm pretty sure that you feel a lot more comfortable, you know, now than you did originally. I know I was watching an old YouTube video of mine from 2019 when I was here on a trip in Ghana. And I was looking at the roads, you know, just like the footage. And I can now remember, oh, this is at Spintex. Oh, this is around Accra Mall, because I've now learned the demographics of Ghana. When I first got here and I would order a taxi, I would just be rolling. And, you know, hoping that I get to my destination because I don't really know. And there was a couple times they might ask me, oh, is it here? Is it there? And I'm like, I don't really know. You know what I'm saying? Like, you just got to follow the map. Now I'm like, yeah, make that left turn. You know, it's behind that green building, blah, blah, blah. So there is, like Arrival says, there's a comfort that comes. Sometimes it's gradual. For those of us that are older, you know, like say you're a retiree, you know, the transition might take you much longer. You know, all your friends are stateside, or, you know, you have certain activities you do with you know, retirees, or you have like, you're a Mason and you're used to going to the lodge or your Eastern Star. You meet up with your, you know, your sorority brothers and sisters, you know, and you might feel, man, I'm here in Ghana. I don't know anybody. I'm kind of bored. You're going to have to get outside your comfort zone. That's part of migration. You know, all the networks that you have made over time in your previous environment, you know, you're basically starting fresh here. So that means if you don't make a conscious effort, you will not be able to create relationships here, because as an adult, you know, especially you're not working here maybe, or you have your own business, you're going to interact with very few people in that situation versus when you went to university in America, when you worked in corporate in America, you were part of sorority in America or whatever. You know what I mean? You were meeting more people because of the various networks you were plugged into. So you consciously have to become, go out there, meet new people, try new things, try to learn your new environment. Big shout out to Arrival. She says, it does come. The journey is beautiful and you must apply yourself and just be you as well. Absolutely. Diane says, definitely wasn't familiar, but now I am. And the second trivia question was like, white people done taught us some bad stuff. We done learned a lot of bad behavior from them folks. Once we get here to the continent, it's even more evident. Our people are irritable. Sometimes they're quick-tempered. Sometimes they can be rude, violent. A lot of things we have been exposed to that have become norms in the West. And we can see that obviously many of us recognize the continent as the place of our origins. So we see, okay, we have left this environment and gone to this environment and we've inherited all of this nonsense. So let's take a page out of their book as to how to successfully learn about our new environment. They are very quick to try to, plug in. I'm sure we've all seen the ridiculous videos of them going to, some of these tribes out in the bush and eating new foods. And, there's this white guy who speaks fluent Mandarin on YouTube. He's a huge YouTuber. He just goes to different shops and he starts speaking Chinese to them. And they're just like so amazed that he speaks this really good Chinese, So they know the game plan of how to get an audience with relevant people in their new setting. And I mean, they stand out more than anything, a lot of places that are not non-white places. They do it with confidence. So I would encourage us to get, interested too in trying to integrate in our new home. Well, big shout outs, family. I appreciate all the ladies in the room today and ATM Tim and Dunstable. Big shout outs. Good morning to you, family. Yes. Let us do this transition well. It's okay to acknowledge the difficulties. I certainly don't want on my platform to paint a picture of, roses and everything. No, this transition can be rocky because everybody has a perspective, and it's valid. But what I'm telling you is that if you want to be successful, remember, you consciously chose to move here. That was your decision. So if you consciously chose to move here, then you need to realistically take the spectrum as it is. If you feel uncomfortable, it's normal. But certainly you shouldn't continue that uncomfortability. You should be able to get beyond some of that by empowering yourself and acknowledging yourself. Like I said, I gave the examples. If you're uncomfortable with you don't know music, here in Ghana, they play Afro beats everywhere. They play African music everywhere. I'd say if you don't know Afro beats or you're not up on it and, you're just used to maybe, music from Western artists, American artists, you might get mad because, you never hear songs, that, or whatever. Start learning the music. Go on YouTube, type in Ghana highlight, Ghana playlists, Ghana celebrities, Ghana music stars. Y'all might see me come up. Yes, but go ahead. You're living in Nigeria. Go ahead. Learn about Davido. Learn about Burna Boy. Learn about Fela Kuti. You know what I mean? Tiwa Savage. You know what I mean? You're out there in the east side. You're in Kenya. You're in Tanzania. Learn about a little Salty Soul. You know what I mean? You're down there in I think it's Uganda, Platinum Diamond. He's a big artist down there. You know what I mean? So empower yourself. And then you don't have to have that discomfort anymore because you'll be abreast. And actually locals be so hyped when you know a little bit of this and that. The music, you know some of their language, you eat the food, that always tickles them. They're always pleased to see that, you're making an effort to learn about where you now live, you know? And it also, some of you guys are worried about getting scammed, right? Well, the more knowledgeable you are about how things operate, the less likely you are to get scammed. Because you will be like, when somebody try to scam you, be like, hey, boss, come on. I know how it goes. But if you don't know, now you know. Yes. What's up, Uncle Take? I see you there, family. Big shout out. So that's today's comment. That's today's conversation. I assume you must have just got here, Uncle Take, so you're going to have to see the playback. But yes, the topic was, in Africa, you will see how white Black Americans are. We have been in that setting, you know, for hundreds of years. And we have not had formal education about our derivatives and our origins. So the combination of being in that environment and then not also having a knowledge or understanding about our heritage is a disastrous combination. Now you land here in Africa and you feel like an alien. You know, you were all hype, your return, you know, YouTube got you hype, your favorite YouTuber, and now you done landed there and you're just like, oh my God, did I make the right decision? Because I don't know anything about anything. You can change that dynamic by empowering yourself. You know, first of all, recognizing that the sensation you're having is completely real. You've lived decades somewhere else, okay? You're not knowledgeable about the place that you're relocating. You may not have family and friends or any associates in that new country, okay? You don't speak the language. You don't know the music. You have never tried the food, okay? You've never even been there. Like if it's Diane, then you took your first trip and decided to move. So with all those factors, it's not a mystery why you feel, you know, like an alien. But you shouldn't remain like an alien. You know, you should just take that as a starting point and say, you know what, yeah, I don't know much about here currently, but I'm going to change that dynamic. And there's, again, I've given lots of suggestions during this video, some things that you can do to empower. And, you know, again, my personal strong suit comes from the fact that I am integrated in the Ghanaian community, you know. So if I have questions or things like that, I can call my friends and, you know, and say, hey, I don't understand this. You know, I do that a lot when I'm reading Tree. I see jokes on Facebook or I see billboards or trotros. I'll call I got a really good, one of my besties, his name is Major. So I'll call Major and I'll be like, I saw this tree. Can you explain to me what it means? And then he'll explain it to me. One time we went to a party together and there was this song about this actress who passed away in a car accident. And, you know, he explained to me the whole context of what happened to her. And then they made this song about her and all this kind of stuff. So that's the kind of invaluable things that you can tap into when you have friends. You know, now, if you just go up to a stranger and you start trying to get information, they might be trying to touch you. So that's why it's better just to have a genuine friend. If you have a genuine friend, they want you to know more about Ghana or Nigeria or Kenya or Uganda. They want you to have information, you know. And for the most part, Africans, they're not like Westerners, you know, with restriction of information. You know what I mean? If you go up to your average American and you ask them a question, they might say something smart back. Okay, they might even get an attitude. So, you know, let's say you see a billboard and it's got a kind of like a message about a reality show. And you say, oh, you know, what does that mean? And they'll be like, are you stupid? With like blah, 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 blah. That's a Real Housewives show. Duh. Everybody knows that's Real Housewives or whatever. You know what I mean? Countless accounts from foreigners on holidays in America trying to get information and directions and getting ridiculous responses from Americans. People here on the continent are not like that. A lot of times they want, you know, they might even be a bit long-winded when they're trying to teach you or explain things to you, you know, but they're not as guarded, you know, as we are, in my opinion. You know, a lot more generous, a lot more welcoming. I mean, how many Black Americans are going to invite you for lunch in their house when they first meet you? Huh? Has that ever happened with you guys? You meet somebody, you know, sometimes you have a conversation, maybe you're in the bank, you have a conversation when you're in the line, you have a conversation, you're at the gas station waiting to pump your gas, you know, you meet somebody at the mechanic or in the Walmart, do they say, hey man, I'm about to have lunch, I'm about to have dinner, why don't you come over and eat? That's commonplace here on the continent. How many times you meet a person out on the road and maybe you say, oh, you know, I'm going to go to the beach today. And they say, well, you know, I got some time, I can go over there with you. How often does that happen in America? People don't even got time to sit down and eat with you, much less invite you to their home impromptu. They already got food. They're not worried about, oh, extra mouths to feed, extra money. You know, people here on the continent, you know, it can be looked at as a weakness potentially because, I mean, they may give information to the wrong person, but it is an advantage that we have, which is, you know, if we begin to extend ourselves in terms of learning our home environment, they will be welcoming. It's not like I've never heard anybody here currently. I mean, y'all might mess it up out there. Y'all diasporans acting a fool might mess it up. But as today, I've never not heard one person on the continent say, you don't belong here and we don't want you here. And I'm not going to teach you this and I'm not going to take you there. Never, 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 never. You know what I mean? We don't want you here. You know, we don't deal with your kind. You know, so my point is, if you have the perspective that you're willing to learn about your home, then you can do it. Diane says they will invite you to eat, drink, party, everything. Everything. Ladies, if you're single, they'd be like, hey, you don't have a husband, you don't have no kids. My uncle, my brother, they be trying to hook you up every which way. They see you with, like, say sometimes when I walk around with my afro hair, the ladies that do hair, they'll come up and be like, oh, you know, I have a salon over here. Do you want to do your hair? You know what I'm saying? So we can see that as a positive. You know, we can see that as a positive, and that is a part of being welcomed. You know, people actually wanting you to feel at home, people wanting you to, you know, make sure you're fed, make sure you're surrounded, because it's a community place here. So they see us, again, more bad habits we've learned from the West, this whole individual thing. Some of us really struggle with the community thing. We think it's, you know, it's annoying to us. You know, how dare they be saying hi to me every morning? You know, them kids calling me auntie. I don't know them. You know, some of the older people, you know, the kids will call them grandma and grandpa, auntie, uncle. It's just normal around here. Well, those aren't my grandkids. Why is that kid calling me that? You know what I mean? We're jacked up because we've been around them white folks. We've been around them white folks. They taught us so much bad stuff. You know, so many weird perversions and fetishes and this and that. It's ridiculous. So, you know, unfortunately, it's not our fault, guys. It's not our fault what we've been through. But where we go from here is our choice. And we can choose to kind of detox from that BS. Okay. And get an understanding of how things are done in our motherland. Okay, in large part the way they've always been done, or they've been being done for centuries, you know. And what we can do, how we add, is we bring our twist to things. We don't come here to colonize. Colonization, again, is the whiteness in us. Huh? So you think you're coming here to save Africa. You think that you're coming here to, you know, educate the people. You think you're coming here to make Africa better. And you single-handedly, more than people that have been living here forever, gonna fix everything. No. You know, but you can bring your own spin. You can bring your own influence. You know, you can bring your own refining of things that are there, because in as much we think we have so much to give them or teach them, they got a lot to give us and teach us. Let's be real. I don't hear diasporans talking about that. Diasporans always want to act like they're just like the end all be all on this continent. But I see that the people here on the continent are so much more industrious than us. I mean, when you look at your own age mate and you look at how all the things they can do and have an understanding, you know, they have more than book knowledge, which is what many people prioritize in the West. There's no actual hands-on. You can't grow a plant. You can't deliver a baby. You don't know anything about healing. You know what I mean? You don't even know nothing about problem resolution. You can't hold a marriage together. You don't know how to take care of kids. You don't know how to cook. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of stuff that our people here on the continent have a wealth of knowledge about. Real talk. And if you were smart, you would be about that life and trying to figure out, okay, how can I plug into this and get some of this knowledge that I would have had I been where I was supposed to be? You know, instead of being all like ridiculous. Thank you so much, Emerging Abu Khan. I see you there. Thank you. You know what I mean? We need to just change the mindset. That derogatory, judgmental mindset, that's our whiteness. I'm telling you, we learned a lot of bad stuff from them people. We can see, you know, there's problems here on the continent, but I have to say, I don't find our people here to be nearly as dysfunctional as the ones in the West. You know, our families are completely shattered. We got a freaking gender war going on. We look like idiots in the media, our musicians. You know, everybody out there looks like they're on drugs, high, jacked up. You know what I mean? Billionaires and millionaires going to prison, engaging in unlawful activity. How many times do you hear African artists, you know, going to prison, killing people, shooting up the nightclub? Let's be real. You know, kids all over Kingdom Come. You know, boys don't know that they're boys. Girls don't know that they're girls. The environment says this is right. Shout outs to Dele. Thank you, Dele. I just saw your message. Yeah. So my thing is that instead of us coming with this whole like we're from the West as if it's like something to be proud of, because I'm gonna just be real. I get embarrassed a lot of times about stuff that is happening in America. Sometimes I don't even want to be associated. It's so embarrassing. And for those of us that live in the international community, we've come to know that these representations of us in the media are, you know, what many people that have never interacted with us identify as Black American. You know, they think Nene Leakes is the average Black woman. Okay, they think Future is the average Black man. You know, the fact that we allow our representation to be like that and patronize it is kind of a validation that is who we want to be seen, because the rest of the world is seeing this stuff. You know, I dealt with that firsthand in the UK. People just thinking the absolute lowest of me and being so surprised that I was articulate and being so surprised that I was a traveler, because they thought, oh, she's Black American, and they already had a laundry list of who I'm supposed to be. You know, so my quest here on the continent is like, okay, you know what? Look, there was a lot of toxic stuff that I was exposed to in America. Fortunately, I rejected a lot of stuff. I was like, no, this is not normal. And no, you're not going to categorize me like this. And no, I'm not going to let you siphon my whole life. And no, I refuse to bring up children in this crazy environment. You know, but in saying that, I also understand that I am disconnected in some ways here on the continent. There's a lot of information I don't know. So that's my quest. That's what I'm here to do. You know, I'm not here to powwow with other diasporans so I can feel all high and mighty and blah, 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 and live in a little bubble. No, I want what's mine. I want what's mine. You know, reparations is more than money. Okay? Reparations is reclaiming what belongs to you. You know, all the things that you were taken, all the things that you missed out on. That is reparations. And you should be, as you know, aspiring to collect your reparations as you can be. You don't have time for all this separatist nonsense that some people are perpetuating here on the continent. And might I add, we already have, again, a subject matter expert, Liberia, to let you know that's not the way to get it done. Okay? You might come here and you feel like a big girl or boy because you're coming from Europe, you're coming from America. Okay? But those of us that live there, we know it's not all that. So don't come over here acting like you're the, you know, Prince Charles when you were just like middle class, low class out there. Like, we know the truth, fam. Just put yourself in position here, you know, and do it well. So big shout outs, family. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate my super chat donors and everybody that is listening. Okay, family. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap up. I've been on over already an hour, and it's like 12 o'clock here, and I know it's early. Special shout outs to those of you guys in America, because I know it's early and I'm already preaching at you, but sorry, I just gotta get it off my chest. I actually wanted to do this video, but it was too early. Like, I wanted to do it around like 8, 9 o'clock here, but I pushed it out a little bit later for those of you guys in America and things like that. So anyway, family, I will see you all again very soon. Again, yeah, announcement. I am having a show here in Ghana for Independence Day. I will be having it at the Galaxy Bar and Grill. It's at the Pig Farm location, which is near the Achimota Girls School. For everybody who's here in Accra, all African superstar music lovers here in Accra, I expect you to come, turn up, and turn out. And there is no cover charge at the venue, but I do ask that you come and buy drinks and eat. This is a venue that is owned by diasporians from St. Louis. They opened it up in November, and I am going to be their very first performance. So we definitely want to come there and make it a valuable experience for them. And I'm going to give a good show. I'm actually bringing another artist with me to open. His name is Kofi Timms. He's a local artist here in Ghana as well. He reached out to me. He's like, hey, African Superstar, can I come and, you know, rock the show with you? I said, yeah, come on. So we're going to give y'all a good show. The venue is amazing. I've been there on several occasions, the Galaxy Bar and Grill. So again, for those of you guys in Accra, it's a call to action. Okay, don't say that you're an African superstar music lover and you are not at the Galaxy Bar and Grill. It's a holiday. It's Ghana Independence Day, Monday, March 6th. Okay, so you don't have no excuses. Oh, Gina, I can't. Blah. I'm giving you some days to get it together. Okay, you're diasporian, you rich, so go ahead and show up at the event and show love for me and also our family members that own that place. And if you are in the Pig Farm area, or you just want to go and support diasporian businesses, go on over to the Galaxy Bar and Grill. They got great customer service, you know what I mean? And lovely family owns the place and everything like that. So yes, show up. If you are in Accra, I want to see you at my performance. If you're not in Accra, you need to go ahead and cop the EP. Hello. Go ahead and cop the EP. Add me to your music streams. We taking it to the next level with the music. Okay? Yes. Yes. Yes, you do, Diane. You surely do. You come, bring your Ghanaian friends, and represent. We gonna turn up. I want them to know that when they have the African Superstar, they can rely on a good turnout. You know what I mean? I want that to be kind of our repertoire. So people are like, yeah, we want to have her come perform because she brings a good crowd with her. You know what I mean? And naturally there's no cover. So, you know, come buy some drinks, buy some food. They got good food over there. So that, you know, we you know, the mutuality, you know, they're giving me an audience to perform and we come and we show love to their business. That's how it needs to work. You know? All right, family, I've talked long enough. So a message from our sponsors before we wrap up. Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, the one and only African Superstar proudly presents the release of her first EP entitled For Every Action, There Is a Reaction, as well as this music video, which is available here on YouTube for the title track. The track is also available for streaming on all download platforms, and the EP is exclusively available for purchase at bandcamp.com. Please support independent artists, and please support your African Superstar. Until we meet again. Yes, guys, I will be performing that track and several tracks from my new EP. I'll be performing Liar 2022. Some of you guys love that track. I'll be performing Come Chill With Me. I know y'all love that. I'll be performing Ghana Is Good For Me. Yes. So I know Ghana Is Good For Me is probably my highly rated song so far. It has the most views here on YouTube, over 6,000 views on the music video. And that track, between that and For Every Action There's a Reaction, currently Ghana Is Good For Me is my most streamed track. But Heartbreak Wednesday is up there too. So T. Kelly likes Heartbreak Wednesday. That's her personal jam. So anyway, if you have not checked out my EP, please make sure that you cop the EP. I got 6 tracks on there. It's available on bandcamp.com. Otherwise, you can stream my music on Apple Music, Spotify, Boomplay, Audio Mac. So let's show love and support for the African Superstar. You know, like I'm trying to do some of the things I talk about on this channel, consciously trying to change the image of our people, putting out good music, being a benefit to the continent, integrating here. You know what I mean? I'm trying to do all these things, and I need you guys' support to do that well. All right. So thanks again for your attention. Until we meet again, stay black and true. If you ain't black, just stay true.